What your case is really worth, I'm Spencer Callahan. I'd like to help.
Spencer Callahan is the one to see. Call 387-2323.
LA filing number 16-7970.
WNXX Jackson, KNXX Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers. LA 21-12681. Offices in Baton Rouge. Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
This is a catastrophe.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
That's what I wished for when I blew out my candle.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
The floor is yours.
Palmer coming to you from the Raising Cane studio downtown in the capital city on this Wednesday. About half the work week in the rearview mirror. Appreciate you hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. We're brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. Jordan Kitchens, Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos. Got a lot to do. What Saints players could be on the trading block? We'll talk about it in 15 minutes. We got What If Wednesday coming your way at 1:30. There's a report now that Billy Napier may be done as early as Saturday night or Sunday afternoon. What does that mean for the Florida Gators? 2 o'clock, we're going to do something I'm kind of dreading. At 2 o'clock, we're going to go back to my preseason prediction column and check how that's going halfway through. You'll get the vibes, but we'll do that at 2 o'clock. J.D. Pickell posted the hard count on 3 Sports at 2:15. And, of course, our SEC football power rankings at 2:30. Obviously, loaded shows. So let's crank it up the way we do every day with our Genesis opening drive.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
So every single Tuesday, we interview LSU football players, sometimes 3, sometimes 4, and generally speaking, we're not aware of who we're going to get. They are very, very accommodating, and if there's somebody that you feel like you need to talk to, they will certainly take requests. They're not going to overload these guys with 4, 5, 6 visits in a row. You don't get Nussmeier every week. You don't get Whit Weeks every week. So they try to lighten the load on those guys, but they're accommodating. But generally speaking, I show up on Tuesday with no idea what 4 guys we're going to talk to. And last night, we showed up, and we found out Garrett Nussmeier was on the docket. Haven't talked to him in about a month. And I'll tell you this. Garrett Nussmeier is, generally speaking, a boring interview. That's not an indictment of him personally at all. He's a boring interview because he is intentionally a boring interview. He grew up in a coach's household. He understands the role of the media. He knows that his job is to make sure that he is propping up his players, not talk about himself, prop up the other team, avoid controversy, head down. And he does that. And that is perfectly within his purview. He can do that if he wants to, but I understand it. So I know when Garrett comes, you're probably not going to get a lot of fireworks. Now, he will absolutely cordially answer your questions, at times give it specific thought. And if you want to hear about a player on LSU's team, Garrett will give you a great answer. I'm going to write about P.J. Woodland later this week, and Garrett gave a great answer about P.J. Woodland. But you start talking about, rivalry matchups or whether or not he's hurt or if he needs to do this, like he's not going to go into deep water more often than not in front of a microphone. And so that's why I thought his tone yesterday and his message yesterday was very enlightening, because I did think he gave us some actual information to chew on. Some of it was indirect, and you'll hear it, but I thought that he gave us a little something to chew on here. So this first bite was in response to a reporter asking Garrett about Brian Kelly's comment on Monday that he played a little bit more free, played a little bit more swagger. Here's Garrett's response to Brian Kelly saying that.
Yeah, I think just for one, just everything that I was kind of going through in the first couple weeks was obviously very frustrating. And, I think I let it get to me a little bit, a feeling of helplessness at times, a lot of frustration. And so, now just having fun playing football, and trying to get back to that, just being me and playing the game that I love to play. And so I think I lost that for a minute there in frustration. And so, Coach challenged me with that to be myself and to bring that swagger back. So, I'm just going to continue to try and keep doing that.
So there he doesn't say, yes, I was hurt, right? He's not going to give you that soundbite, but he says, with everything that was going on earlier in the season. We know what was going on early in the season. Garrett was hurt. And he said it frustrated him. And that's a human reaction to a year that you came back for with massive expectation, where you're on Heisman Trophy odds lists and your team is mentioned with teams that compete for a national championship, and you're given the number 18 and you're sent to SEC Media Days to represent the team, and this is what you've worked your entire life for, to play quarterback at LSU one more year, and then you get hurt. That's frustrating. That is frustrating. And he said as much. Now, because he began that quote with everything that was going on, there was a natural follow-up with so you want to talk about your health, and here's what he said.
I think it's pretty obvious kind of what has gone on. I don't want to go into it directly. I'll say football, you're never truly fully healthy. It's a sport that you have to play when you're banged up. Obviously it's been frustrating, but as I said, it's football. You got to play through bangs and bruises. I have no excuses. And so I'm just looking forward to continuing to try and get better and finish the year off the right way.
So he's not going to talk about it, but he talked about it. And this is going to be the $1 million question as we sit here, and my job is to analyze the football team, right? And I try to be as truthful with y'all, as objective with y'all as I possibly can. You know where my rooting interest lies. I'm never going to run from that. I'm never going to hide from that. But I don't believe that it completely blinds my ability to analyze the football team. I can analyze the things that I know about. I know what LSU's running game has looked like for a month and a half. I know what LSU's defense has looked like for a month and a half. I now know how Brian Kelly kind of manages a team day to day and what his decisions look like in a game. I cannot know how Garrett Nussmeier felt at Clemson, how he felt in Oxford, how he feels today, how he's going to feel Saturday, what he'll feel like in November. I have no way of knowing that. And I can't know how many throws he's made have been affected by this injury and how many have not. So it's wasted energy for me to basically try to speculate on that. We just don't know. But we can go off what he's saying and then try our best with what you see on the field. And what you saw early in the season was floating deep balls and the inability to stretch the field and some kind of throws without a lot of zip and a quarterback that's not practicing, and it matters. So how much did the bye week and the rest help?
Yeah, it helped a lot for me. Being able to get a quick rest, and so. But as I said before, it's football. You got to play banged up, and so no matter what the situation is, I'll go out there and give them all.
And we don't doubt that. The guy's tough. The guy wants to fight. He wants to play. We've seen him play through this injury early in the season. We saw him return from injury last year against Oklahoma and give it his best shot and hit some deep balls late in that game to Chris Hilton. He's tough. And he's going to play through this, and you hope that it continues to get better and better and better. And he thought, in talking to him yesterday, that the offense got better over the bye week pre-South Carolina. And he talked about some lessons that they learned in that game on Saturday night.
For us, coming off the field, it was a good lesson. I think we completely dominated the game. We dominated the line of scrimmage. We threw the ball at will. We were running the ball at will, and we messed it up on ourselves 3 times inside the 10, and we don't score. In either of those opportunities. So we know how good we played. We know what we believe the score should have looked like. We know all this and that. And so, at the end of the day, if we would have executed the small things and we would have put up, those 3 scores or whatever, and the score would look totally different, there would have been a totally different conversation this week from the media, from everybody. It would have looked like a totally different thing. And so we know that as a unit, and so it's a great learning lesson for us and how important it truly is, especially in big SEC games to finish.
I'm sensing some confidence from that. I was standing right there when he said it, and I just sense some confidence. You heard him say, we dominated the game. And I would suggest that's probably right. You ran for 160, which is way better than you've done at any point this year. You moved the ball essentially at will. I'm with you on that. Now, if you are in Columbia, South Carolina doing radio this week, you're talking about how the defense showed up when it had to and got a fumble at the 3-inch line and got a pick at the 1-yard line and stoned LSU at the goal line right there at the end to force the field goal. That's the way you're going to frame that. And if you're in Baton Rouge doing the radio, well, they just screw. And the truth of the matter is that those situations are all different. Juwan Johnson stretching the ball out at the goal line is a no-no. And it's an alert, aware play by the South Carolina defense to knock it free. That's coachable, pretty fixable. Don't do it again. That's not a problem with the offense. The pick that Nussmeier throws at the goal line is inexcusable for a fifth-year senior quarterback to make. And that's not something you can just brush away. Well, we got down there and turned it over at the 1. No, you can't make that throw. And he knows that, but you got to do better than that. If you're going to beat Bama, if you're going to beat Texas A&M, If you're going to go to Norman and win, like, you can't make that throw. You probably can't make that throw on Saturday. So that is part of the offense where that's not something that you just shot yourself in the foot. You made a bad play. And then at the end of the game, yep, I'd like it if you could knock South Carolina out of the way, 1st and goal at the 1 yard line, and get in the end zone to finish the game. Finish the game. And they couldn't do it. Now, you're not going to do anything crazy down there because it going from 7 to 10 under 3 minutes to go is a massive deal when their offense has 10 points total in the game. So you're going to be a little bit conservative there, but I'd like, in a conservative mindset, to still punch that in from the 1 yard line, and they didn't. But I sense confidence from Garrett Nussmeier in that answer. And so this was the final answer that we'll play for you, and it's talking about getting back to himself, being himself, and playing well in the second half of the season.
Leading the offense the correct way, being the guy that can orchestrate this offense into what it truly has the potential to be. And so I think that's my goal, nothing else. I've said it many times, I didn't care about awards or things like that or focus on all this individual stuff. My goal was to be the best I could for the LSU Tigers and LSU offense. And so that's where my focus is. My focus is with my teammates, my focus with my coaches and getting better and trying to continue this. At the end of the day, you can say whatever you want about us, but we're 5-1 and we got a great opportunity ahead of us. And so that's my goal, and that's what I'm looking forward to.
The last part of that bite, I feel like, is lost in this town right now. That's my opinion. That's my experience. But the last part of that bite, in my opinion, is lost in this town right now. And we talked about it a little bit the first 2 days of this week, and I understand it, but I do push back against it a little bit. I push back against the town, not Garrett. The town, the refrain is, offensive line's no good still. Offense, no good still. When they play good teams, they're going to get beat. Kelly hasn't accomplished anything. They can't beat Bama. They're not going to beat A&M. Like, this is supposed to be a championship team, and it's not. And that's the chorus in this town. And that may be proven right. It may be proven right. But I know Garrett Nussmeier's right. I'm 100% certain that Garrett Nussmeier's right. He's 5-1. He's got a great opportunity moving forward. Look around at all the teams that have losses. Georgia's not perfect this year. Oregon just lost on its home field. Bama got beat by a Florida State team that stinks. Everybody's got their flaws. And I'm not here to suggest that LSU's playing significantly better than Oregon or Bama. They're not. But they're 5-1. I know that. And they do have a huge opportunity. And I'm just kind of wired in a way to think about that in addition to the struggles that they've had offensively. Trust me, I wrote in a post-game column on LouisianaSports.net after LSU beat Florida, this offense is not good enough to do what they need to do. I'm not completely blind to that. I'm not here to tell you, hey, this team is fine. They're 5-1. They got a great defense. They'll be fine. They're going to make the playoff. I'm not here to brush that away. But I'm also not going to dismiss the fact that they're 5-1 with a great opportunity here. You telling me they can't go to Nashville and win? They can. They can go beat Vanderbilt. That's 6-1. That sets up 105,000 when A&M comes in here for a primetime game. You don't think they can win that game? You sure they can't win that game? The opportunity's there. I'm just saying. And I felt like for a guy in Garrett Nussmeier who very rarely says anything when he sits down with a microphone, he sounded to me last night to be a guy who said, yeah, I was hurt. I'm not talking about it, but I was hurt. I'm not hurt. We dominated that game against South Carolina, and we got a good chance to get better now that I'm healthy and my running back's healthy and my tight end's healthy, and we're 5-1 to do something in the second half. And if it looks like it did last year in the second half, they won't do anything. But that's not certainty. What's certain is that the quarterback's getting healthier. The body's going to heal itself. He's not getting worse. And that they're 5-1. Let's see what happens. I enjoyed our chat with Garrett Nussmeier. I've got a piece up at LouisianaSports.net right now with a couple more quotes, kind of my thoughts and commentary on it as well, so you can check that out for free over at LouisianaSports.net. If you want to look for our LSU content, you can find it at Hunt on LSU, YouTube, wherever you find your podcasts. We appreciate you all for subscribing and making that part of your day. All right, What If Wednesday coming up in 15 minutes. Our Wednesday show is brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. When we come back, Ross Jackson, awesome piece on LouisianaSports.net about what Saints players could yield if they're dealt. I'll tell you who I think they should move on to, maybe who they need to keep around. That's next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Safety, big issue in the bathroom, especially as folks age. If there is someone, guardrails, slippery places, One Bath and Closets can do it. Walk-in tubs, you betcha. One Bath and Closets can do it. Showers with benches, absolutely. One Bath and Closets can do it. Start with that free consultation. Talk to David Duvall about what he can do. Financing options are available, 0% up to 18 months. It's One Bath and Closets. You can find them online and get that consultation at OneBathAndClosets.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Raising Cane's is our victory meal.
Football fans are some of the most dedicated fans in sports. It's a fundamental quality we share, and that fuels every single order of our hand-battered chicken fingers. Wherever there's football, there's Raising Cane's.
One love. Let's go.
After a decade of working in private duty nursing, I know how hard it can be to find compassionate care for the ones that you love the most. So I started Decision Critical, a premier concierge nursing agency, so we can take care of you wherever you are. Our highly skilled nurses provide exceptional care from the comfort of your own home, with personalized packages for short-term, long-term, or even around-the-clock care. Visit us at decisioncriticalbr.com and give us a call today to get started.
When it comes to choosing energy for your family and your home, make the smart choice with natural gas. You can count on efficient and affordable natural gas to keep you comfortable and reduce your environmental impact to help protect our planet. Together, we're fueling our energy future. Atmos Energy.
While Louisiana politics can seem like they're from another planet, Moon Griffon isn't afraid to bring politicians back down to earth. Listen to the Moon Griffon Show weekday mornings at 9 on Talk 107.3.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief: our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Wednesday shows brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. Looking to get into that pool of your dreams for next summer. My guy, Joey Blanchard, has got you covered. Give him a call, 225-252-7745. Renaissance Homes and Pools. They bring you our Wednesday shows each and every week. Ross Jackson's got an awesome piece up at LouisianaSports.net. Just got a ton of information packed into it, more than I'm going to be able to get to in one segment here. But it's talking about the trade deadline approaching here on November the 4th. And you got about 3 weeks to get your ducks in a row if you're the Saints. And I think we now need to start questioning, like, we don't have to question if. Like, the Saints know where they are as an organization. You saw them trade an actual asset for a player that can't play this year in Ja'Kai Polk. Like, they traded for a guy that can't play this year. That tells you they got eyes on the future, right? So we don't have to ask whether or not the front office is even aware that this is a rebuild. And that was a reasonable question because of how the Saints had doubled down over the years and never fully admitted to, hey, we need to take a step back. You trade for a guy that can't play this year, you realize that you're taking a step back. So now you understand, and they did that with Marshawn Lattimore when they traded him away last year as well. Like, they have now made multiple moves that suggest they understand where they are. So now we can understand how to restock these shelves the best you can. And the best way, as we've talked about to restart this thing is to get younger and cheaper. And the only way to do that is in the draft. You can do it to an extent with undrafted free agents, but trying to make a roster full of undrafted free agents is not going to go very well. Draft picks are cheap and they're young by definition. You've got to go ahead and get some draft capital in your organization. And so, what can you do with the guys that you currently have? And Ross lays it out by player. Starts with Chris Olave. We can probably agree he is the best young asset the Saints probably have. He's proven as a 1,000-yard receiver. He was a first-round pick. He had a terrible game on Sunday. Got it. He's not really a number one receiver. Got it. But he can play in the NFL. That is a proven fact. And so if you're a really good team that's looking for a 2, Chris Olave makes a ton of sense. And Ross writes, a typical top-end wide receiver gets a second-round pick to Houston for a second-round pick. If you can get a second-round pick for Chris Olave, maybe in a little bit more, either some, like that, I would listen to that phone call because Chris Olave's had his 5th-year option picked up. He's a guy that's not going to cost a ton next year, but moving beyond that is going to be a little bit more expensive. I'm not saying kick him out the door for nothing, but I'm listening. If your take on the matter is, who cares what draft picks they got because Mickey Loomis and Ireland are clowns and they can't draft anybody. If that's your take, then this entire conversation is moot and the Saints are not worth talking about until they're gone. But you got to take a practical approach. Absolutely interested in seeing what you can move on from him. We've talked about Rashid Shaheed. I think Rashid Shaheed has probably still got 3 to 4 years of really high-end NFL speed left in him. If he's a freak of nature like Ted Ginn, maybe you're talking about number one trait. But you can reach out and touch his 30th birthday. So you feel like that doesn't last forever. But he's certainly got high-end speed right now. And if you are a team that's lacking a deep threat, there's probably not a better one on the market. The only player that has had more explosive receptions than Rashid Shaheed in the entire National Football League is Tyreek Hill, and he's in the hospital. So this is the guy. He's the top of the market. If somebody's got to have what he's got, I'll listen. And as Ross writes, the valuation's a little bit different. He's set to become an unrestricted free agent after this season. So in that term, you're looking at a rental. This is a rental. That's a Major League Baseball term, but it applies here. You're talking about a guy that you're only going to get half a season out of unless you extend that contract. So the Saints are going to get a compensatory pick if they extend that offer. They will. So do you want to move on for something concrete right now or see how the free agency process plays with Shaheed? This is one of those deals where it's tough to analyze on the front end because you don't know what the value is potentially coming back. But if you could get a day 2 pick, I would be interested in that. I'm not, again, another guy I'm not kicking out the door. But okay. Now, Brandon Cooks is the third piece to this puzzle here. And this is a guy I would kick out the door. That's nothing against Brandon Cook. And I don't have any use for him on the next really good Saints team. So if there is any sort of all ears. 6th-round pick, yep, I'll take it. Like, I don't see a spot for Brandon Cooks moving forward on the roster, which means any asset you get back for Brandon Cooks, I would absolutely take. He's been healthy after a year last year where he was banged up, so that's a feather in your cap as the Saints. If you could get a day 3 pick, some sort of pick swap, absolutely bring it on as far as that goes. Pete Werner. Pete Werner plays a position that generally doesn't net a lot on the trade market. He's an inside backer. As Ross writes, in 2023, Isaiah Simmons got moved for a 2024 7th-round pick. Last year, Ernest Jones II got moved on for a 6th-round pick to a 5th-round pick swap. Kenneth Murray got sent to the Cowboys, allowing the Tennessee Titans to get a 7th-round pick. If you trade Werner, you're probably talking about a 7th-round pick. It's something. Am I just dying to get that done? I just don't think that's a significant needle mover to me. I'm not going to spend a lot of time thinking about it. Werner's been a very much replacement level linebacker for the Saints. Has some days where you're like, oh, that guy, decent day. You have some days where you're like, this guy can't cover a soul, whatever. I'm not too been out of shape about the Pete Werner situation. Now, Carl Granderson's interesting. He's the most productive player you've got on defense thus far this season. He's got 4.5 sacks through 6 games. He plays a premium position. You could get a lot for Carl Granderson. You could get maybe a day 2 selection. Maybe. Chase Young was picked up by San Francisco for a 3rd-round pick. Granderson's probably, this is a guess on my part, obviously, probably his best football's behind him, but he's not over the hill. Like, this is not a guy who's well past his prime. His production right now is suggesting that he's playing good football. He's 28. You can rush the passer at 30. So I'm not desperate to move on from Carl Granderson, but unlike Werner, you're talking about a guy in Carl Granderson who plays a premium position, and you might be able to get a team maybe that's dealing with an injury, maybe that feels like that's the missing piece to overextend. And if, for goodness sakes, if you can pull up to a 2nd-round pick, I'm all over it. I don't think that's realistic, but 3rd-round pick, I'm listening. I'm listening. When you got a guy that's 28 years old, I'm listening. Now, Cam Jordan and Kamara are the last 2 pieces to this puzzle. They are Saints lifers. They're at the end of their rope from an NFL perspective. Cam Jordan probably closer to the end than Kamara. It appears to me that the front office has gone to those 2 guys, and those 2 guys suggested they don't want to be traded. This is going to be unpopular with Saints fans when I'm saying this, but I believe this. I have a duty, if I'm Mickey Loomis in this front office, to do what's in the best interest of the Saints, not shine a spotlight on the twilight of a great Saints career. If there is some sort of return for those guys, it is a dereliction of duty not to answer the phone. Say, well, can't touch him. Cam's had a lot of sacks for the Saints. He's going in the Hall of Fame one day. We can't get rid of him because he was really good 5 years ago. Kamara, most touchdowns in Saints history. I can't trade that. Yes, you can. You can. And I don't believe that Cam Jordan commands almost any return. And so I don't think that this is going to be a conversation worth having. Kamara might. He's not going to be somebody's lead back, I don't think, but he can help in your backfield. And he's a great clubhouse locker room guy. But I'm not willing to suggest that because you were super productive for the Saints in 2018 that you are untradeable out of respect in 2025. Again, that's not going to be popular with Saints fans, and I understand it. But the Saints are in a hole, and they've got to do whatever they can to get out of it. And if that means you move on from a defensive end at the end of his career, like, I'm not just going to hold up because things were great 5 years ago. So to me, I don't think Cam Jordan and Kamara move because I don't think they command a lot in trade value, and they want to stay, and I believe that the front office will keep them there. I don't think Carl Granderson will move, even though I think they'll probably take some phone calls. I don't think Warner moves. Cooks, proven pro, vet, need a number 3 receiver because somebody got hurt and you're a contender. Absolutely, and it won't cost a lot for teams to get him, and the Saints can take whatever they can for him. I think Olave and Shaheed are very, very fascinating. I would absolutely be open and willing to trade either one of them if the return is good enough, and I think Olave's would be the best, and I'd be willing to move on from him. That's my thought on this entire matter. We've got 3 weeks to chop it up, but hopefully the Saints are able to recoup some draft assets, and then they can use that to try to land more young, affordable players on next year's roster. Appreciate Ross Jackson for putting that up at LouisianaSports.net. You can read it for free along with his thoughts, and you can find our stuff, Hunt on Saints, wherever you find your podcasts. All right, let me tell you about Renaissance Homes and Pools, a little bit of extended read here. Look, summer's over. Got cooler temps that are coming in. Pool time, about done, right? But make sure that if you went through this summer without a pool and you hated that and really want to get into that pool of your dreams, Joey Blanchard and his team at Renaissance Homes and Pools are happy to help you make that a reality. It starts with a consultation with the owner of the company, Joey Blanchard. He walks you through the process. Their design software is phenomenal. To scale, you can see just exactly what that pool is going to look like. You want big resort style? They got you. You want small cocktail? They got you. No matter what size and scope you're dealing with, Renaissance Homes and Pools can do it for you. When they dig that pool, Joey will be there. When they fill that pool, Joey will be there. When they finish that pool, Joey will be there. He's the owner. He's invested. He's done it for dozens and dozens and dozens of families around the Baton Rouge area, and you could be next. So go to builtbyrenaissance.com or call Joey directly, 225-252-7745. That's 225-252-7745, Renaissance Homes and Pools.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
My father, J.B. Falgu, had a vision of growth for First American Bank and the communities we serve. The bank's foundation was built on his legacy of compassion, loyalty, and dedication. Through his years of leadership, First American has prospered to heights even J.B. could not have imagined. I know my father would be extremely proud of the customer service and financial stability that First American provides to Southeast Louisiana. We continue to thrive because of the legacy of J.B. Falgu.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, ice cubes.
Need security services you can count on? With Veteran Security Services, you're always protected. Locally owned and proudly serving the Gulf Coast, they're not some big national firm chasing profits. They're neighbors protecting neighbors. From petrochemical plants and healthcare facilities to port and maritime operations, Veteran Security delivers reliable protection you can trust. Choose community. Choose confidence. Choose Veteran Security Services. Visit veteransecurityfirm.com.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Trust isn't given, it's earned by showing up, leading the way, and performing at your best when it matters most. Our Lady of the Lake sports medicine experts know what it takes to improve performance and build champions at every level. That's why LSU chose Our Lady of the Lake as its championship health partner, trusting Louisiana's best medical team to care for our state's best athletes. From championship athletes to everyday champions, trusted care starts here.
I trust the lake.
After a decade of working in private duty nursing, I know how hard it can be to find compassionate care for the ones that you love the most. So I started Decision Critical, a premier concierge nursing agency, so we can take care of you wherever you are. Our highly skilled nurses provide exceptional care from the comfort of your own home with personalized packages for short-term, long-term, or even around-the-clock care. Visit us at decisioncriticalbr.com and give us a call today to get started.
In South Louisiana, you can always count on good people coming together to help our children.
At Dreams Come True, we grant wishes for Louisiana children with life-threatening illnesses. But to do this, we need funds.
That's why we're trying to raise $100,000 for Dreams Come True by giving away the Blessed Builders School.
Make your backyard's dream come true while helping our kids.
Just go to dreampoolla.com and you can find out how your $25 donation might help win you a Duplessis pool.
When it comes to choosing energy for your family and your home, make the smart choice with natural gas. You can count on efficient and affordable natural gas to keep you comfortable and reduce your environmental impact to help protect our planet. Together, we're fueling our energy future. Atmos Energy.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Moving right along here on this Wednesday, a lot to pack up over the last hour and a half of this show. We're going to talk about Billy Napier potentially getting fired. We got to go back to my August predictions. Had three of them. Three bold predictions for this LSU football team. We'll see how that's going halfway through the schedule. JD Pickell is going to be with us at 2:15 every single week now moving forward. We got our SEC football power rankings that we'll do coming up at 2:30 as well. Got a new team at the top spot of said power rankings, so we'll do those in about 55 minutes from this moment in time. But right now, it's What If Wednesday.
Time, space, reality. It's more than a linear path. Where a single choice can branch out into infinite realities. Follow me and ponder the question. What if?
All right, let's kick this bad boy off, Hunt. So, what if Penn State calls Clark Lee?
He's got to answer the phone. I understand home is home. I really do.
Yes.
But sometimes you understand what opportunity is calling. Now, it depends on what motivates Clark Lee. If Clark Lee is motivated by reaching the pinnacle of the sport, by winning national championships, being annually relevant in the college football playoff, he will pursue that opportunity if it comes up, because there's no question that Penn State is significantly better opportunity there. However, you do have to understand that James Franklin won a ton of games at Penn State. He went to the Rose Bowl. He won the Big Ten. He had him in the college football playoff and won 2 games. And he had a bad 2 weeks, and they fired him. And now he's got to look for the next opportunity. If you're happy recruiting, coaching players, winning some games, keeping your job, living in Nashville, then Vanderbilt's a great job, because they would have thrown a freaking party for Clark Lee last year. They went 7-6. 7-6, throwing a party. So he's got to take the phone call. One thing I can't know for sure is whether or not Clark Lee is telling the truth when he says he believes that he can build Vanderbilt into national power. If he's delusional in that way, that's a tough thing to shake free from. If he just says that because you have to say that when you're the head coach at Vanderbilt, well, then you can take the job at Penn State. But I think that would be a really good phone call for Penn State to make. I think that he should take that job if it's offered. But home is home. However, look, John Cohen was the athletic director at Mississippi State, where he went to college, and Auburn called, and he left in 2 seconds. So some people realize, what's a better opportunity, and I would think Clark Lee would look at that.
Yeah, and sometimes the grass isn't always greener, so he's got to watch out. So what if I hate this one? What if Notre Dame wins out? I'm a Notre Dame hater.
Puts them at 10-2 with one reasonably good win over Southern Cal.
Yeah.
Because Southern Cal played really well against a mediocre Michigan team last week, and you'll get a little bit of credit for that. Nothing else on the schedule gets any credit at all. And you lost 2 games. You lost to Texas A&M. You lost to Miami. Now, they were close losses.
Yeah.
But until someone proves this theory wrong, I'm going to believe it is so. I believe the College Football Playoff Committee does not care who you beat nor who you lose to. They only care how many games you lose. And by that criteria, Notre Dame at 10-2 is going to look pretty attractive. Now, they didn't beat anybody, and they did lose, but I think they got a chance to get in if they go 10-2. I do.
I do too, and that's why I hate it so much. Oh, I know you love this one. What if the Brewers get swept by the Dodgers?
Look, I would prefer the Dodgers win.
I know.
I despise the Brewers. But here is something that I try to live by.
Okay.
Now, keep in mind, you're talking to someone who on Saturday nights after LSU, my work is done with LSU, I go back and listen to podcasts and watch videos and press conferences of the teams that lost. Because there is something in you that like revels in the failures of your rivals.
You're a real hater.
However, I have to say this, and there may be some hypocrisy in this, but it's just the way I'm not in a position as a Cubs fan who was just beaten by the Brewers to then turn around and point and laugh at you who just beat me. Now, keep in mind, if you're a college football team and you're 8-0 and your rival's getting their teeth kicked in, you can point and laugh from a position of authority there. But if you've already been beaten and then you're celebrating the failures of a team that accomplished more than you, then all of a sudden you're like an A&M fan, you're like an Ole Miss fan who doesn't have anything to celebrate personally. They just want to go after you from their spot in anonymity. And the Cubs are in anonymity. They're playing golf right now.
Yeah.
So I can't celebrate in good conscience the Brewers while I'm anonymous and irrelevant. That's something that loser fan bases do. I can do it in the privacy of my own home with the grin on my face. I'm not going to go out and publicly bang the drum because I think that's loser behavior. And the Cubs lost last weekend. So by definition, they're losers.
I can't debate. I have nothing to say because I was one of those people that was waiting for Ole Miss to lose so I could spin back around and be like, hey, look at y'all. So you exposed me. You got me right there. I can't even say nothing right there. So
there you go.
What if, I like this one actually. What if Zion plays 75 games?
If Zion plays 75 games, you'll get a real sense of where the Pelicans franchise is.
Yeah.
You get no sense of where the franchise is when none of their good players play.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to diagnose that. So I will say, if he plays 75 games, I think the Pelicans will avoid the play-in. I think they are legitimately and actually a playoff team.
I like this a lot.
But I don't think he's played 75 games. So I want you to answer the question.
Okay.
And whatever you want. You can say how many games they'll win. You can say, what if he plays 75 games? Like, what's your reaction to that?
All right, well, look, I'll say this. If Zion plays 75 games, I'm willing to put my life on the line that the Pelicans will make the playoffs. I'm not going to go all the way, be a 6 seed, play-in. You'll be in the mix. I'm willing to say this, though. If Zion plays, because 65 games is like the minimum you get to be in awards and all that. So if he plays 75, I'm super, 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 super confident that he will be in MVP discussions. Might not win it, but his name will be one of the names in the hat. And I think you will, like you said, you'll finally get a true sense of where we are. We're year 6, 7 in this, and we don't know what we have yet. You're still just begging him to be on the court. But I will say this: it's not just about Zion. Trey Murphy has to play 65 games, over 65. We'll take 75, but he has to play over 65.
75's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot.
75.
Yeah, but 65, we'll say that. If Trey, he has to play 65. Herb Jones has to play over 65. Like, it can't just be him. It's a team, so he has to be there. He's the engine, but you need the wheels too. You can't just have an engine and no wheels. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
How many games do you think Zion's going to play?
Well, I'll say he's gonna play over 65 this year. I'm willing to say that because the next 2 years on his contract are non-guaranteed because he has to meet the games play requirement to get that money. Money is the motivation for everybody, so I think he will play over 65 games this year. Might not be 75, but I'll say between 65 and 70. That's what Zion will play. Probably 66. He'll probably just get one more and he's done.
All right, that's What If Wednesday. Got my guy Troller McTroll87 in the chat says the Cubs are a loser fan base though. I would get offended by that a little bit, probably not a lot, but a little bit if your username wasn't Troller McTroll.
He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing.
I'm optimistic about the immediate future of the Cubs. Got to figure some things out in the offseason, but I had fun watching the Cubs in the playoffs this year. I have not done that in a long time.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was heartbreaking at the end, as it always is for every team but one. But it was I had so much fun watching the Cubs. I've caught myself on Thursday of last week. Now, the Cubs played really well on Thursday of last week, but I caught myself that night just looking up at the TV with Wrigley full, ivy on the wall, the Cubs in the gorgeous pinstripe uniforms, like playing well. Like I was just like, this is just freaking awesome. They play so many games that individually feel like they don't matter. You play 162, you lose on Thursday, like whatever, 120 game on Friday, whatever. That once you get to the ones that feel so impactful or do or die, it's a lot of fun. So we'll see. Troller McTrollerson, Troller McTroll 87. If that's the case. So you're going to be news out of Gainesville coming up on Saturday or Sunday. There's a report that there just might be. We'll talk about it next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is the website. Jonathan Carver and his team, they're just experts when it comes to the coverage aspect of insurance. If you've always just kind of gone with the cheapest option, that's one way to handle your insurance. Certainly is. But have you considered the other way to handle it? And let me tell you, the Highland Insurance Group is going to be sure that your premium is what it needs to be. They're going to go to their dozens of contracted carriers and make sure that you're competitively priced. But they're also, in that process, going to make sure that your coverage is right. Because you never know when the hurricane's coming. You don't know when the car accident's going to happen, when that lawsuit's coming, the cyber attack's happening. Those things can derail a business financially if they're not taken care of on the front end with insurance. So if your concern is chiefly coverage, understanding that price is important as opposed to vice versa, Highland Insurance Group is who you need to work with. Have them audit your policy for free, especially if you're a 1/1 renewal coming up January 1st. Talk to the Highland Insurance Group today. Reach out. They're here in Baton Rouge. You can find them at HighlandIG.com and say, hey, love to get a second set of eyes on my renewal. They are happy to help you with that. Commercial insurance, the Highland Insurance Group, online, HighlandIG.com.
When it comes to pipe fabrication, time is money. And at River Parish Contractors, we make every second count. Our 36,000 square foot shop is ready to take on your projects right now. With experienced welders, precise fittings, and fast turnarounds you can trust. Whether it's a single custom spool or a full-scale run, we have the capacity and the skill to keep your job on schedule. Call us or visit rpcontractors.com for your quote. That's rpcontractors.com.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Raising Cane's is our victory meal.
Football fans are some of the most dedicated fans in sports. It's a fundamental quality we share, and that fuels every single order of our hand-battered chicken fingers. Wherever there's football, there's Raising Cane's.
One love. Let's go.
In South Louisiana, you can always count on good people coming together to help our children.
At Dreams Come True, we grant wishes for Louisiana children with life-threatening illnesses. But to do this, we need funds.
That's why we're trying to raise $100,000 for Dreams Come True by giving away the Blessed Builders Pool.
Make your backyard's dream come true while helping our kids.
Just go to dreampoolla.com and you can find out how your $25 donation might help win you a Duplessis pool.
Flight by Yingling is raising the bar by crafting the next generation of light beer. With only 2.6 carbs and...
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Wrapping up hour number one here, Matt Hayes, who's with USA Today, has got a story up today that is titled, Embattled Florida coach Billy Napier could be fired as soon as this weekend. I don't know that that's breaking news. Florida's not had a good year, and this is year 4 for Billy Napier. But you read the story. It says that Florida Athletic Director Scott Strickland met with a handful of influential boosters on Tuesday and was told continuing financial support depends on the new direction within the football program. 3 people with direct knowledge of the situation told USA Today Sports. Scott Strickland declined comment for the story. This is something that I've never fully understood, and I realize that that's like it's an interesting way for me to go about things, to suggest it's something that I'm in the middle of. Journalism, I write for the website. Like, I don't understand how this story could get written. But if I'm reading tea leaves correctly, and I'm just reading tea leaves here from Matt's story, it suggests that Scott Strickland talked to the money people at Florida, and then Matt Hayes got wind of it and called money people at Florida who said, yeah, we met. We're waiting to fire Billy on Sunday. Write it up in USA Today. That seems like such a ridiculous thing for the money people to do, if that's the case. To me, anyone who has knowledge of that plan and directly tells a newspaper reporter to print that, that seems crazy to me. What message does that send to the players at Florida, who are now probably going to have to deal with questions about this? They're certainly going to see it. Like, Billy Napier gets paid a lot of money, and he hasn't won nearly enough football games. But if I'm an influential booster who Scott Strickland calls in and says, hey, you understand what's going on here? Next time we lose a game, we're probably going to have to move on. And I've got this money, and they ask for this, and I go, yeah, we'll do that. And then USA Today calls and says, hey, y'all firing Billy on Sunday if you can't win this game? Like, can I write that? Oh, yeah, we met on Tuesday. And Strickland asked us if we had the money. We have it. Go ahead and run that. Huh? Who are these people? I don't understand how that works. I guess some people like to gossip, like to feel like they're in control. I understand that losing football games creates animus between people, and maybe there are boosters that just don't like Billy Napier because he doesn't win enough. But, like, you're just steamrolling your own football program. You're turning the football program into a punchline. And I guess you could come back and retort to me, hey, we're a punchline if we can't beat South Florida at home. I don't have a good answer for you there either. But maybe just write the checks and don't talk to the newspaper guys would be my... And look, I'm a writer. There are times where I make phone calls and say, hey, what's the deal with this? But there are some things that I just don't understand why the information shows up. And I just think it's unfair to the players at Florida who now have, 3 days before a game, you've got an article written that says, hey, your coach is getting fired on Sunday. Go play. These guys didn't sign up for that. But it'll be interesting to see what Florida can do once Napier is let go. It also cranks up the hiring carousel. You're talking about Penn State is in the job market. Florida is going to be in the job market. Florida State might be in the job market. Those are probably the biggest fish at this point that are going to be looking for a coach. But that's always relevant. I told you a lot. Like, I don't care what Brian Kelly does relative to Billy Napier because they were hired in the same cycle. I think once you land that job, the expectation is the expectation. The expectation at West Virginia is one thing. The expectation at LSU is another thing. The expectation at Michigan is one thing, and the expectation at Wisconsin is another. And so what you do relative to the coaches that were hired in your carousel, I don't care about. I do care about who's trying to hire coaches while you're hiring a coach, because you do have to judge yourself and make moves based on who else you could be competing with at that point in time. We understand how things went with LSU in Texas and Tom Herman back when that decision was made in 2016. It matters. So Penn State and Florida are going to be in the mix. I think Florida State's got a good chance of being in the mix. And we'll see what happens at Auburn. We'll see what happens at some other places that can make people think. But sounds like Florida, the next time they lose a football game, going to be officially in the market for a head coach. And it's just kind of a weird thing that a newspaper reporter could get that information out of someone who knows. I don't know what the person who knows that information that is giving it to the reporter gets out of that conversation, but guess that's just the way it goes. That's it for hour number 1 here, Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. When we come back, got a lot to get to in hour 2, including J.D. Piquel of On 3 Sports. We'll pause for Sports Center. We'll be back after.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is the website. Every car that's on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. You may never have been behind the wheel of a Genesis. Odds are you have not. You can test drive that. You can do it at the dealership, airline at PQ. Always a great time to do it. Or they'll come to you. If that's not exactly what you want to do and you'd really rather get behind the wheel for more than just a little test drive, rentals are available. You've got a family road trip coming up for Thanksgiving. You've got a road trip coming up to a football game. You've got something coming up where you've got to get on the road and you don't want to put those miles on your current vehicle, but you'd like to see how the Genesis drives. Highly recommend getting by and doing a rental. It's not something they do a ton of there, but they are happy to let you get behind the wheel. So go see them, airline at PQ. Again, the entire inventory is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. Sedans all the way through the SUV, and all of them are IIHA top safety picks, some of the safest cars on the road. Find them online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Baton Rouge's home for real rock. It's Eagle 98.1. Foo Fighters. Led Zeppelin. AC/DC. Pearl Jam. And the flagship home for LSU sports. Take us anywhere with the Eagle 98.1 app. Eagle 98.1 is the rock station.
Today, we are shaping tomorrow.
We are researching how extreme stress impacts the immune system, from trauma victims to athletes and even astronauts.
Our work is leading the way in sepsis treatment, saving countless lives.
We're unlocking the mind with music in exciting new ways.
Our Lady of the Lake Health and LSU are improving the health of our state.
That's the impact of champions.
Imagine the impact we'll have on the future. Together, we roar.
Hi, this is Beth Serena. Welcome to my pool. The first time I saw this beautiful pool, it exceeded every expectation that I had. They were able to get everything we wanted in this pool. It is a beautiful pool. We live out here, we eat out here, we watch TV out here. This is like our living room outside. We love this pool and everything about it. When we decided to build our pool, we called a great friend who is one of the best pool builders in the country in North Louisiana, and we said, who would you choose to build a pool in Baton Rouge? And without a hesitation, he told us Russell Pools. He said their history, tradition of great builds, great pools was unmatched. So of course, who did we call? Russell Pools. The advice I would give to anyone looking to build a pool is first call Russell Pools. They'll do an incredible job. It'll be incredibly organized. It'll be time efficient. And you will have your pool in no time.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Raising Cane's is our victory meal.
Football fans are some of the most dedicated fans in sports. It's a fundamental quality we share, and that fuels every single order of our hand-battered chicken fingers. Wherever there's football, there's Raising Cane's.
One love. Let's go.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Ed Benkin. The Seattle Mariners have never been to a World Series, but they have an opportunity to move one step closer tonight. The Mariners host the Blue Jays, looking to take a commanding 3-0 lead after Toronto lost both games at home. Game 4 will take place tomorrow. It is an off night for the National League Championship Series. The Brewers and Dodgers will play in L.A. tomorrow night. This after L.A. won both games in Milwaukee to start the series. So for both championship series, the visiting team has won the first 2 games. The Washington Commanders have placed wide receiver Noah Brown on injured reserve. He injured his groin 4 games ago, and that came during a loss to Green Bay in Week 2. Meanwhile, Commanders coach Dan Quinn said receiver Terry McLaurin is going to practice during the team's jog through today. He has missed the past 3 games due to a right quad injury. College football news. Alabama running back Jam Miller is questionable to play on Saturday against Tennessee. He sustained a concussion last week. No word yet as the week goes on if he will be able to play. Busy night in the NHL with several games, including the defending Stanley Cup champion Panthers in Detroit.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ Chris Candy coming up Thursday as we head into Week 7. I'll tell you the players who have the most to prove the rest of the season. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
This is a catastrophe.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
That's what I wished for when I blew out my candle.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Raising Cane's studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
The floor is yours.
Hour 2, Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Half the work week officially in the rear view mirror. We're brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. Working towards the weekend. Thanks for hanging out with us. JD Pickell, host of the Hard Count on 3 Sports in 15 minutes. SEC Football Power Rankings, latest edition coming up at the bottom of the hour. Let's see. Had 3 teams that moved 3 spots. 1 team that moved 4 spots. How many stagnant? 1, 2, 3. Only 4 of the 16 teams remain stagnant after the weekend of work. So, lots of movement coming up in 30 minutes on our SEC Football Power Rankings. All right, time to face a little bit of music. Not full music, just a little bit of music here at the top of the hour. I decided, and keep in mind, I didn't even remember what was in this piece. But I did know that I put a piece together in August that was a prediction piece for 2025 season. It was written on August 14th. I published it right at noon and called it 3 bold predictions for LSU in 2025. We're about halfway done. You're 6 games in to a 12-game season, so you play a bowl game, which counts. So it would technically be 13, maybe if you play an SEC championship game, but you're halfway for all intents and purposes, right? So we ought to be able to get a pretty good snapshot of how those predictions went. Let's move forward and see how things are going. My first bold prediction for LSU in 2025 is that LSU will go unbeaten at home. Right now, they're unbeaten at home. You've got to win over Louisiana Tech. You got to win over Florida. You beat Southeastern. You beat South Carolina. And what's left? You've got a game against Texas A&M in 2 weeks. It's going to be very, very difficult to win. You've got a game with Arkansas, who's fired their coach, but is a good offensive team. And then you've got a game against, am I missing one? Arkansas? Oh, and then Western Kentucky, which doesn't count because you're going to win that. So essentially, A&M and Arkansas are the 2 you've got to win to get to the finish line unbeaten at home. I think their chances are decent. They're probably right about 50-50, maybe a tick short of 50-50 to go undefeated at home. But I wrote about this in the piece, and it says, look, you've got to take on a team in Florida that's going to come in 2-0. That was incorrect. They were 1-1. They lost to South Florida. But then you've got to face two quarterbacks that ran all over Blake Baker's defense last year, Lenora Sellers and Marcel Reed. You contained Lenora Sellers. You'll get your shot at Marcel Reed. And then you got to beat Arkansas. So I feel at this point pretty good about this. I've talked about this a lot. This is a quote that I've continued to beat home. I trust that defense in that stadium. It's going to be very difficult for somebody to come in and consistently make plays against that defense in that stadium. So I feel okay about that. Is it a slam dunk? No. But they've gotten there this far, so we'll see how that goes. Here's my next one. Chris Hilton will top 1,000 yards. Well, let's go ahead and look at how that's going at this point. Chris Hilton has 4 catches for 30 yards this year. He is on pace for 8 catches for 60 yards. That's going to come up just a tick short. Do I feel bad about this prediction? A little bit. But I've watched Chris Hilton for 2 fall camps really play well. I'm not making this up. I'm not the only one who's had this take. And it's not just he's hitting the deep ball in practice. He's working the intermediate stuff. They got him involved in screen game. I thought he would catch some deep balls, and I thought he would be a big piece to the passing attack. Now, why has he not been? I think that there are probably some layers to that. Certainly, Chris Hilton's best attribute as a wide receiver in this offense in his time in Baton Rouge has been the deep ball. And LSU hasn't thrown the deep ball because Garrett Nussmeier hasn't been able to throw the deep ball. Like, Hilton cooked the defense against Ole Miss. Nussmeier underthrew it. Hilton cooked the defense on Saturday against South Carolina. Nussmeier slightly underthrew it, and then he dropped it. Like, that was 120 yards of catch and run right there that you just got none of. None. And at this point, you got to realize that any sort of thought that Chris Hilton's going to be a go-to all-SEC type receiver is gone. That does not mean he can't make 2 touchdown catches over 50 yards on Saturday, because he did it against Baylor in January. I guess that was December, January, whatever it was. Right around December, January. I think it was New Year's Eve. He did it against Baylor. He had a long, big catch against Oklahoma last year. Like, he's still capable, but he's not going for 1,000 yards. So that bold prediction, not getting home. Last one. LSU will go over 45 sacks on the season. Keep in mind, LSU last year finished with 34 sacks. I thought Braden Swinson did a good job last year. I thought that you were going to be better this year on the edge. You had Patrick Payton, Jamari Butler, Jack Pyburn coming in. Payton, a proven pass rusher on the edge. You had a full year of Harold Perkins being healthy. Whit Weeks back healthy, who's been a good pass rusher. Maybe you get a little juice from the interior with Bernard Gooden, who got some sacks for South Florida last year. Plus, I thought that LSU was going to win a lot of games, and that lends itself to pass rushing late when you have a lead. So I thought they would top 45 sacks. Right now, LSU ranks 24th in the country in sacks with 16. That pace is about 35 sacks. So they're right kind of where they were. It hasn't been really disappointing from a pass rush perspective, but to get over 45 sacks, you're going to be in the top 10 in the country, and LSU right now is 24th. So I'm hopeful that more is unlocked over the back half of the season. I think that they can get after the passer a little bit better. You've played some elusive quarterbacks. Klubnik moves around pretty well. You didn't rack up big sack totals against Southeastern and Louisiana Tech, where you feel like opportunities against lesser teams to go back there and get them. The way that LSU is going to get to this number is to have that 6 or 7 sack game. That happens. I mean, look, last year, in the most unlikely of circumstances, Florida did that to LSU in a great offensive line in the Swamp. LSU got behind. They tried to throw the ball. Florida's crowd got going. LSU struggled to deal with it, and you got back there and got a lot of sacks. And maybe that happens on Saturday against Vanderbilt. Maybe they get a huge sack total against Western Kentucky. Maybe Taylon Green in Arkansas get well behind, and they got to throw it a lot, and he doesn't have anywhere to go because your coverage is really good, and you get him down 6 or 7 times. But it feels like it's unlikely that LSU is going to climb to the number that I had laid out. I thought that was laid out with reasonable expectation, and LSU has not been a bad team in terms of sacks. Let me see where LSU ranks in the conference. I said 24th in the country, but LSU in the SEC is tied for 6th in sacks. So that's not awful. There are only 5 teams better than LSU when it comes to sacks. Auburn's got 2 more. So does Vanderbilt. Texas A&M has 5 more. Oklahoma's got 6 more, and then Tennessee has 10 more. Tennessee leads the country in sacks. They're getting back there for 4 a game. Are the Vols. So there's a chance that LSU's pass rush turns up a little bit more. I thought they'd be in better shape right now. You look at individually what LSU has done from a sacks perspective. Harold Perkins has 2. And Damian Shanklin had 2. I have to double take that. Damian Shanklin had 2 in 1 game when he was in mop-up duty there. But nobody else has been super impactful from a sacks perspective. Bernard Gooden's got 1.5. Jack Pyburn's got 1.5. Woodland and Pickett each have 1. Don McKinley's got 1. Dylan Carpenter's got 1. But some of the guys you really thought you were going to count on, Patrick Payton only has 1 sack. On the season thus far. Jamari Butler does not have a sack thus far. So that hasn't been to the level I thought it would elevate to. Not a disaster, but not quite right. So for me, are they going to go undefeated at home? They could. They're on track to do that, and they got a decent chance. Got to win 2 more SEC games at home to get there. Is Chris Hilton going to get 1,000 yards? At this pace, he's not even going to get 100 yards. I think he will. I think there's a chance he's going to make some big plays down the stretch, but that was just a whiff on Chris. We also did a station survey back in August of who's going to lead LSU in receiving yards, and I put Chris Hilton, and that's just going to be flatly wrong. But is LSU going to get to that 45 sack total? Probably not, but I'll hold out hope. Maybe there's a big day or 2 coming down the pike for Blake Baker's defense. We shall see. But that's me trying to take accountability for my preseason bold predictions here on this Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. So appreciate y'all for hanging out with us. SEC Football Power Rankings coming your way in about 15, 18 minutes. When we come back, J.D. Piquel, host of The Hard Count on 3 Sports, talking national college football storylines on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge, swingeasygcbr.com. You're looking for a place to watch some games on the weekend? Swing Easy Golf Club is a great place to do it. You walk into their facility right there, Segan at Perkins. You see right there to the left, there's all the chairs set up. They got the fridge back there, all your seltzers, all your beers, all your wine. They're available for purchase. And then you go into your personalized bay. And it's got couches, chairs, tables. Of course, you got your golf simulator. Hit some golf shots. You want to practice, you can do that. You want to turn up the simulator to a little famous course they play every April, you can do that. You want to go out to Pebble Beach, you can do that as well. You want to play Bethpage Black, TPC Sawgrass, they got it. Turn the TV on. Any channel you like, any game you like, have some friends, hang out, spend some time in that private bay. It is an awesome, comfortable, dare I say, luxurious space that you can mix in hitting some golf shots in while you're there. It's Swing Easy Golf Club here in Baton Rouge. Segan at Perkins. You can find them online, including booking tee times at swingeasygcbr.com. Swing Easy Golf Club, swingeasygcbr.com.
Raising Cane's is our victory meal.
Football fans are some of the most dedicated fans in sports. It's a fundamental quality we share, and that fuels every single order of our hand-battered chicken fingers. Wherever there's football, there's Raising Cane's.
One love. Let's go.
When it comes to choosing energy for your family and your home, make the smart choice with natural gas. You can count on efficient and affordable natural gas to keep you comfortable and reduce your environmental impact to help protect our planet. Together, we're fueling our energy future. Atmos Energy.
Flight by Yingling is raising the bar by crafting the next generation of light beer. With only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories, this is premium refreshment 6 generations in the making. Flight by Yingling. Raise the bar.
Need security services you can count on? With Veteran Security Services, you're always protected. Locally owned and proudly serving the Gulf Coast, they're not some big national firm chasing profits. They're neighbors protecting neighbors. From petrochemical plants and healthcare facilities to port and maritime operations, Veteran Security delivers reliable protection you can trust. Choose community. Choose confidence. Choose Veteran Security Services. Visit veteransecurityfirm.com.
While Louisiana politics can seem like they're from another planet, Moon Griffon isn't afraid to bring politicians back down to earth. Listen to the Moon Griffon Show weekday mornings at 9 on Talk 107.3.
It's not just a game, it's a religion. You've got your team colors, team swag, and now your very own website, LouisianaSports.net. Everything LSU, Saints, and Pelicans. Sports on demand. In-depth coverage by sports writing pros with continuously updated news. And with the LouisianaSports.net newsletter, you get pinged directly with top trending stories. Best of all, now and always, no paywall. It's free. LouisianaSports.net, powered by 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Your home for Louisiana sports.
We typically think of stress as being bad for us. At Our Lady of the Lake and LSU, we are researching how certain types of stress, such as exercise, can be good for our immune health. By studying people under extreme stress, such as athletes, astronauts, service members, and first responders, we're learning how to improve the immune health of everyone. That's the power of research. That's the impact of champions. Together, we roar.
In South Louisiana, you can always count on good people coming together to help our children.
At Dreams Come True, we grant wishes for Louisiana children with life-threatening illnesses. But to do this, we need funds.
That's why we're trying to raise $100,000 for Dreams Come True by giving away the Blessed Children's School.
Make your backyard.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Chugging right along here, Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. SEC football power rankings coming up in 15 minutes. Got a new team at the top spot. We'll talk about it coming up in our next segment. Right now, let's talk to our guy, JD Piquel, host of the Hard Count on 3 Sports. Wherever you find your podcast, you can find him all year long, but we're in the middle of the season now, so let's talk to our guy on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. JD, how we doing?
Well, the best part of my week. This, and then when I wake up on Saturday morning, I go through the Chick-fil-A drive-through before the college football playoff games start, or for college football games. I guess eventually playoff games at some point here start.
Yep.
It's a beautiful time, man. Glad to be talking to you right now.
Seems like Indiana's going to be in those playoff games whenever they roll around. What'd you see on Saturday?
I think this is important to say about Indiana. Like, they're actually good. You know, like, we see the logo and we say, oh, I love Hoosiers. I love that. That's an awesome movie. We think about the candy cane pants and basketball. Like, what they did to Oregon was legitimately winning matchup football. It wasn't smoke and mirrors. It wasn't tricky scheme. It was, we're going to throw the ball to Surratt and he's going to go catch it, one-on-one coverage. We're going to run more yards than you. We're going to harass your quarterback. I mean, it was bullyish, quite frankly, which is what we saw Oregon do to Penn State, in my opinion. So it needs to be said, like, Indiana's not tricky or good for a team that hasn't been good in a while, I know, outside of last year. Like, they're just a good football team with good players, and they're going to be in the playoff, like you just said.
What do we make of what Auburn has done in the last month? They're in games. They just lose them all. What does that mean?
Yeah, it's a perplexing question that I think a lot of people in Auburn, Alabama are asking themselves right now. It feels this way to me, and I'd be curious to get your take on this as well, because I think if you're an Auburn fan, you'll take any answer you can get at this point. I think they once again swung and missed on a portal quarterback, and I think Jackson Arnold is talented. I think he is not what they need to maximize what their offense is supposed to be. Their offense is supposed to be run the football, then we have these Ferraris on the perimeter. Let's get them the rock, and then at that point in time, there's no way to defend us because light boxes are going to work because, again, we'll punch you in the face, and then you can't, commit extra numbers to the run game because Cam Coleman's so good. And it's easy to say, well, quarterback's not good enough when you're losing games that maybe, you think you have a chance to win, i.e. the Georgia game in the first half. But it really does feel to me like how much better would they be with a Bo Pribula back there? How much better would they be? I mean, heck, Drew Aller, I know he just got hurt against Northwestern. He had a bad year, but, like, how much better could they be if they had him throwing the ball downfield? Like, I like them a lot more with a quarterback that can actually throw the ball downfield, and Jackson Arnold has not proven to be able to do that at an effective enough level, which I hate for him, but that's kind of the place they're in right now.
Like, this may be a really stupid thing to say because it's just a different era of college football, but, like, I watched Hugh Freeze play football with Jeremiah Masoli and Bo Wallace in Oxford and win a lot of games with guys that weren't great quarterbacks. So maybe it's a different era, and that's just a stupid thing to say out loud, but I don't sense that Hugh Freeze needs Cam Newton to score points, and maybe he does because they're not scoring any points.
Yeah, no, it's a fair point. I think that whole era comparison is a really interesting take, especially with, you know, how good Masoli was running the football, but then you also juxtapose the idea that defenses have gotten faster and changed up their, like, 3-3-5 structure. And so all that is interesting. But at the end of the day, I think there is something to be said for having a killer instinct, which Auburn just purely doesn't have. And I know that it's popular right now to blame the officiating, and it's popular to blame the breaks they haven't gotten against Oklahoma and Georgia, but, like, the point remains the same. Like, the competitive plays, the competitive moments, the other teams are winning, and the plays that Auburn needs to make, they're just not making them, which I know is, like, the most no-dub, black-and-white statement of all time. But when you do it enough times in a row, like, you shouldn't be blaming officiating. You should be saying it shouldn't be about officiating our third year with this roster. So it's a very uncomfortable spot to be. Now, I don't think Hugh Freeze is going to be fired this year. I don't think that's going to be a discussion we have, but I do think that the sense of urgency was based around this year. And now if they want to get to 8 wins, which I think was, like, kind of that magic number for folks out there on the plane, they got to get frisky and find a way to win some games that they are not going to be favored in.
No doubt. We'll see how that goes there at Auburn. One guy who's already been fired is James Franklin. I guess we kind of buried the lead there. Wild how quickly we got to that over the course of 3 weeks. But were you surprised on Sunday?
I was surprised. I wasn't surprised that it happened. I think, like most people, I was surprised that it happened when it happened. Like, hey, it's October, October, like, 7th or something like that, whatever it was. Like, Coach, we haven't even hit the midway point through the college football season just yet. Like, we just played, I guess, our midway point game, but, like, we hadn't even done our 2.0 playoff predictions just yet on this show. We're already talking about James Franklin being out of a job, a guy who was a play away from punching their ticket to the national title a year ago. Like, there's so much there with why it ended up being sour, but I was surprised that they punted on it as soon as they did. It does, though, feel like it was a matter of when, not so much if, after that UCLA game. It felt like, well, I guess after Northwestern was when it felt like the most inevitable, but there were always that couple that, I forget if you and I talked about this or not, Hunt, but they were always that couple that was happy, but you knew they were never going to get married.
Yep.
Like, you knew neither side of that was ever going to get a ring, unfortunately, and that became more evident after the UCLA game, and obviously was accentuated by the Northwestern loss. But at a certain point, it took the right amount of escalation within their relationship. It took the right fight for that relationship for them to say, okay, you know what, this is getting toxic for both sides. Let's call this off.
What does your gut tell you about the next iteration of Penn State football? Do you think it's better than James Franklin or worse?
It's hard to say it's going to be better. Like, even the names we're talking about, is there somebody that is just a better coach than James Franklin with a better resume out there that's going to get hired? And I love Matt Rule. Like, Matt Rule was my coach at Baylor for the cup of coffee I was there. I am the biggest believer in Matt Rule, but can we unequivocally say that he's going to go 10-2 every single year with the way the Big Ten seems to be ebbing and flowing? That's the tricky part about it, is something probably had to be done, but you make that $50 million buyout move and break up with him when you break up with him during the midway point of the college football season with the idea that you can go get somebody that's going to get you over the hump, but I don't know who that is. I guess you could say Kurt Signetti. I know our very own Pete Nako said on 3 reported they're going to take a swing at Marcus Freeman, which is smart, but like, I don't know that the grass is necessarily 110% greener, or at least there's not green grass already grown out there that exists in terms of someone you're going to hire. So I think the biggest thing that sticks out to me in terms of, like, a need for Penn State, for whoever that next guy is, it's got to be someone who has the personality of, no, we're going to go kick this door down. And I think we undervalue personality in college football, Hunt. Like, I think that is so important to the success of a team, is personality leadership. Like, we see it at A&M. Elko is no nonsense, structure, substance, culture. A&M seems to finally be out of the ditch. Vanderbilt. Clark Lee is chip on the shoulder, Vanderbilt through and through, brings in Diego Pavia, which is all that and then some, and we see them having success. So needs to be the right personality at Penn State, which is we're knocking on the door, that's fine, but we're about to kick this thing down and go be a team that can accomplish all that the former head coach did not.
Well, let's kind of continue that conversation and bridge the 2 weekends here that we're in the middle of. USC, really nice win, really physical win. Now they go on the road to play Notre Dame. Like, Lincoln Riley was kind of a guy that a lot of people had dismissed entering the season. Do you feel like they're turning a corner?
I feel like they are. I feel like the biggest thing is they put the check mark next to the box of show me the arrow is pointing up at USC. Show me It's not just lip service on the line of scrimmage, which I think they did with that win over Michigan. To bridge the gap here of this weekend or last weekend to this weekend, I think that matchup with Notre Dame is very intriguing. I mean, we go back to last year. Maiava was the only quarterback to go for over 300 yards against Notre Dame and had a couple of bad pick sixes, which ended up making that score look more lopsided. But, like, USC was in that game. I think they're better than they were last year. I think Notre Dame arguably isn't as good as they were a year ago, definitely not on defense. So the line's at 8.5 favoring the Irish. I like USC outright there, Hunt. I think that the momentum will create more urgency and confidence than complacency, and I think they win that game. I really do.
Let's talk about Tennessee and Alabama, a pair of 5-1 teams tied undefeated in SEC play. It's in Tuscaloosa, night game, 7.5-point number. Look, Tennessee's throwing around a little bit. You think they can, and they're sacking the quarterback better than anybody. You think they can go to Tuscaloosa and make some noise?
I think they can absolutely make some noise. I think that it's going to be really curious to see what that secondary shows up with for the Vols. Because to me, Hunt, they are the wrong clock of college football. They are bad the majority of the time. They're giving up 277. They miss a lot of the personnel that they've had. Ideally during the year they haven't had some of like Jermod McCoy being dinged up sucks for them, and it's kind of shown itself. But they've taken the football away at a pretty high level. So if they can be the wrong clock that's right twice a day in Tuscaloosa and maybe do some things to that Bama offense we haven't seen other people do, then things get really frisky. And you give Joey Aguilar a couple extra bullets, I think that would be the script that would ultimately favor Tennessee. So it's not about stops to me. It's about extra possessions for that Tennessee offense and, first to 40 wins.
I do like rivalries that I don't care at all about, and this absolutely qualifies. Utah, 5-1, 2-1 in the Big 12, ranked 23rd, going to Provo to play number 15 BYU, who is undefeated, and Utah's favored in this game. They don't like each other. I like that. What do you think?
Doesn't it just scream weird? I mean, you got a game being played in Provo, Utah, with the road team favored, with a quarterback that wears number 47 and is named after an animal. Like, this is it, man. I do think Utah wins this game. I am not 110% sold on BYU, and I think Devin Dampier and that offense catching a loss already will serve them well. So I like Utah in that game, but it's called the Holy War. How do you not get excited for a game like that? I mean, it's gonna be a good time.
It's a lot of playoff implications as well. There in the Big 12. All right, let's talk Ole Miss and Georgia. Rebels really punched Georgia in the mouth last year. Now, they don't have that personnel, but they are undefeated and ranked 5th in the country, and they're a touchdown and a half underdog on ABC between the hedges. How do you feel about it?
I mean, I think Georgia's secondary makes me feel a lot better from an Ole Miss fan. Like seeing Trinidad Chambliss slinging around for 300 yards the last 3 of his last 4 games. I'm like, okay, I can sign up for that with that unit on the other side for Georgia that's been, hot dog water for the most, which is very quiet. I don't know that enough people are saying how bad they are in the secondary. But what you said about last year, Hunt, to me is the biggest part of this. It took 2 first-round draft picks, 3 turnovers, home field advantage, and a rain game to beat Georgia, plus 5 sacks, I believe, from that defensive line. I don't think any of those things will exist here. Definitely not the stable variables of them not playing in Oxford. So I think that Georgia wins. I think they'll just run the ball, quite frankly. I think that the physicality of Georgia will wear on Ole Miss. But if they start slow, them being Georgia offensively, and Ole Miss gets a little bit of cushion to work with, like we saw Auburn work with, I don't think that Ole Miss will let them back in the game. I think that's where it gets really, really interesting.
All right, let's talk about the home team. They're going on the road this weekend, but LSU headed to play Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt, 2.5-point favorite against the number 10 Tigers. Diego Pavia going to be a problem for LSU?
I think Diego Pavia is just liable to be a problem against anybody at this point. I mean, he is the epitome of like frisky, gritty. I mean, I'm saying things this audience already knows about Diego Pavia, so that's one part of this. But I think that the physicality of LSU on the second and third level of the defense will be the difference in this spot. Vanderbilt, they kind of run the pseudo triple option, RPO stuff, get the ball on the edge. That gets you beat where your DBs aren't about that life of playing the run and doing the block-on-block disruption thing. I think LSU's down for that, so I think they win this game. I do think it's kind of uncomfortable to watch, though. I think it's kind of a close one-score game, but I'll take LSU 27-20 in Nashville.
LSU lives in uncomfortable, ugly, close games. That's really all they can do is play uncomfortable, close, ugly games. So we'll see early morning kickoff in Nashville. JD, we appreciate the time. Enjoy the football this weekend. We'll talk next week.
Can't wait, man. Appreciate you. Have a great one.
You too. That is JD Pickell, host of The Hard Count on 3 Sports. Check out the On 3 YouTube channel for JD's content every single day, all year long, but especially during football season here. Appreciate him for coming on every single Wednesday. We come back. SEC Football Power Rankings. That's next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Renaissance Homes and Pools, built by Renaissance.com. Love telling you about my guy, Joey Blanchard, who can get you into the pool of your dreams. Doesn't matter the scope of what you're trying to do from a pool perspective. Maybe you're looking for just a cocktail pool in your retirement years. He can do it. Maybe you're talking about big, fun, elaborate pool because you got kids or grandkids and you want resort style. They can do that. They can do whatever it is that you're looking for, and they can do outdoor kitchens right next to it. So if you want to make your backyard the place to hang out hot months, cold months, spring months, fall months, Joey Blanchard and his crew can help you out with that. I'm giving you Joey's phone number. He's the owner of the company. You're dealing with the owner of the company. 225-252-7745. You call him at 225-252-7745. You work with Joey, the owner of the company, start to finish. It's Renaissance Homes and Pools. You can check out their great work and request that free consultation at builtbyrenaissance.com.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, ice cubes.
When it comes to pipe fabrication, time is money. And at River Parish Contractors, we make every second count. Our 36,000 square foot shop is ready to take on your projects right now. With experienced welders, precise fittings, and fast turnarounds you can trust. Whether it's a single custom spool or a full-scale run, we have the capacity and the skill to keep your job on schedule. Call us or visit rpcontractors.com for your quote. That's rpcontractors.com.
After a decade of working in private duty nursing, I know how hard it can be to find compassionate care for the ones that you love the most. So I started Decision Critical, a premier concierge nursing agency, so we can take care of you wherever you are. Our highly skilled nurses provide exceptional care from the comfort of your own home with personalized packages for short-term, long-term, or even around-the-clock care. Visit us at decisioncriticalbr.com and give us a call today to get started.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Trust isn't given, it's earned by showing up, leading the way,
and performing at your best when it matters most. Our Lady of the Lake sports medicine experts know what it takes to improve performance and build champions at every level. That's why LSU chose Our Lady of the Lake as its championship health partner, trusting Louisiana's best medical team to care for our state's best athletes. From championship athletes to everyday champions, trusted care starts here.
I trust the lake.
Hi, this is Beth Serena. Welcome to my pool.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Officially working towards the weekend here on this Wednesday. Thanks for hanging out here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Got about 20 minutes to go here. We'll get to some take it or leave it here at the end of the show. But for right now, our next iteration of SEC Football Power Rankings.
Hunt's SEC Power Rankings.
Texas A&M! I got the Aggies the number one spot. A&M is playing really good offense and really good defense. I think their quarterback is good. I think their coach is good. They have done their work outside of the trip to South Bend at home. They got to go on the road here at times, and one of the trips is to Baton Rouge. One of the trips is to Arkansas. I think they're going to win this weekend. I think Texas A&M's going to the playoff. I think they're a threat to do whatever it is they want to do. I really do. That breaks my heart in the worst way to say, but they feel like a team that doesn't have any significant glaring weaknesses at this point. I don't think they're a juggernaut, but I don't see a juggernaut, so I've got them at 1.
The Alabama Crimson Tide.
I backed Bama up one spot. They won the game. They deserve a lot of credit for that, going to Missouri and winning. Ty Simpson, 16 touchdowns, 1 interception. The interception was against Vanderbilt on a 4th down throw. They held Ahmad Hardy to 52 yards and 4.3 yards per carry, which is a good job on defense. I don't think that Bama truly deserves to back up a lot, but I feel like they're not a dominant team, and I like the way Texas A&M has played late in games, so I'll take the Aggies at 1, Bama at 2.
The Georgia Bulldogs.
Georgia's 8th in the SEC in total offense and 7th in total defense. That just doesn't feel like a Kirby Smart powerhouse national championship team. They're good. They won at Auburn. They won in Knoxville. That's a lot. They're good. They can do whatever they want to. I think that there are 2 teams better than them. I leave them at 3.
The Ole Miss Rebels.
We'll see. Ole Miss goes to Athens this weekend, but I've got them at 4 here. They move up 1 spot thanks to one team falling back a little bit. I think Ole Miss is a good team. I don't think they're a great team. I think they've got a good chance to make the playoffs. They're a lock for the playoffs if they win against Georgia this weekend. I don't think that they will. I think that Georgia will beat them, but they're good. And that's why I've got them at 4.
The Oklahoma Sooners.
Oklahoma's number 2 nationally in scoring defense. But now, I told y'all I wasn't dinging them for the Mateer injury. That's why I had left them in the 3 spot, left them in the 3 spot, left them in the 2 spot at one point. Well, Mateer played, and it was a disaster. And now I have to take that into account. He looked uncomfortable. He looked hurt. He's wiping blood on his pants. They're not moving the football. Texas takes control in the second half. I have to move him back at this point. Just to 5. Not a free fall, but Oklahoma back from 2 to 5.
The Missouri Tigers.
Missouri stays at 6 here. Nice job. I think Purbuell was good. They played pretty well against Alabama. They had a chance to win the game, but didn't do enough. And that's kind of what Missouri is under Eli Drinkwitz. Are they bad? No. Are they elite? No. Are they decent? Yes. Are they pretty good? Yes. Does that put them somewhere around 6, 7, 8? Yep. I got them at 6.
The Tennessee Volunteers.
Tennessee is number 1 in the nation in scoring offense at 48.2 points per game. They're number 2 nationally in sacks. Their secondary is not very good, but they can score, they can throw it, and they can rush the passer. That's a formula. I like that. That's what they are. They didn't get it done against Georgia, but they've done a good job elsewhere. Now they got to go to Tuscaloosa this weekend. Prove something to me, Balls. I've got you right now at number 7.
The LSU Tigers.
I moved LSU up 1 spot. Their defense is good. I thought the offense showed some life. I'm not moving them back where they were at 1 point, 3, 2. But 8 feels right. They're on the right half of the top half. They got to get better on offense. but I still think that the defense is good enough to keep them in the top half of the league.
The Vanderbilt Commodores.
And Vanderbilt was the one that was cost by LSU moving up a spot. Vanderbilt didn't play last week. And guess what, Vanderbilt, if you're really cranky about this flip here, you got work to do on Saturday. I guess that's the point. Vanderbilt's 7th nationally in scoring offense, and they lead the nation in yards per carry rushing. I'll talk more about that on tomorrow's show. But they've done a good job early in the season. They're 5-1. They deserve credit. They're right there at 9.
The Texas Longhorns.
I did move Texas up 3 spots. They were 13 last week, up to 10 this week. They're 11th in the SEC in scoring offense. That's bad. They're 10th in the SEC in passing offense. That's bad. They're 3rd nationally in scoring defense. That is good. The defense played terrible in Gainesville. They redeemed themselves against a hurt quarterback against Oklahoma this week. We know that they're talented. They haven't played well. I didn't move them up a ton, but they're up to 10.
The Florida Gators.
Florida here at 11. Obviously, they got a lot of heat on them with Billy Napier under the gun. They're not good. They've had one good game against the Texas Longhorns. Played well there. Their defensive front is good. Whatever. I got all Florida there at 11.
The Auburn Tigers.
I moved Auburn back behind Florida. Probably not the wisest thing to do, but Auburn never wins. So I'm having a hard time giving them a lot of credit for losing. And losing. You lose at Oklahoma. You lose at A&M. You lose on your home field at Georgia. You're competitive. You lose. I got them at 12. They're 91st in the country in scoring offense. That dog will not hunt. They are dead last in the SEC in passing. That dog will not hunt. Hugh Freeze has not gotten that offense to really do anything his entire time there. And it's because he's hitched his wagon, as JD said in the last segment, to 2 really mediocre quarterbacks. Peyton Thorne's not very good. Jackson Arnold's not very good, and so Auburn's not very good. They're at 12.
The Mississippi State Bulldogs.
I moved Mississippi State up 1 spot here to 13, not because they did anything last week. They didn't play, but there was a team that free fell 4 spots, so Mississippi State moves up to 13th. Levy's doing a good job. They're competitive. They got run off the field in the second half in College Station. That's going to happen to bad teams. State's a bad team. That's why they're ranked 13th.
The Arkansas Razorbacks.
Arkansas has lost 4 straight games. They're allowing 41 points per game in those 4 straight losses. Their scoring defense is 119th in the nation. Now, they can score. They're top 5 in the country in total offense. It's a high-flying wire act like LSU 2 years ago without the Heisman quarterback and the 2 first-round wide receivers. But their defense is so bad. I backed them up. They're at 14.
The South Carolina Gamecocks.
I moved South Carolina down to 15 after watching them in person. They were at 11 last week. They are atrocious outside of 2 humans. Lenore Sellers is a really good athlete with no help, and Dylan Stewart is a really good athlete with no help. They don't cover worth a flip. They don't tackle worth a flip. They don't stop people worth a flip. They don't block worth a flip. They don't catch the ball, get open worth a flip. Their running backs aren't worth a flip. They have nothing going besides Lenore Sellers and Dylan Stewart. And those 2 guys can really play, but that's it. I got South Carolina as the 2nd worst team in the SEC after seeing them with my own eyes in Tiger Stadium.
The Kentucky Wildcats.
And they're still last. Texas and Tennessee are at home in Kentucky the next 2 weeks. Mark Stoops is not going to coach against Auburn on November the 1st. It may be quicker than that, but they're going to lose to Texas in Lexington. They're going to lose to Tennessee in Lexington. At some point, Mark Stoops will be fired over the course of that time. They are a bad football team, and that's why they are 16th. That's your SEC football power rankings. Run through them one more time, just for your edification. A&M 1, Bama 2, Georgia 3. Ole Miss at 4, Oklahoma falls to 5. Missouri and Tennessee stay at 6 and 7. LSU moves to 8. Vanderbilt right behind them at 9. We'll see those 2 teams playing this weekend. Texas at 10, Florida at 11. Got the Auburn Tigers falling to 12. Mississippi State moves up to 13. Arkansas moves up to 14. That's because South Carolina backs up 4 spots to 15, and Kentucky comes in at number 16. Those are your SEC football power rankings. We'll see what y'all think of it in your Bayou Ford chat. You can tell me what you think. Certainly we'll have those up on Instagram. Get the comments rolling over there as well. And we'll see what this week holds. It's interesting because Georgia and Ole Miss play this weekend. They're 3 and 4 on this list. LSU and Vandy play this weekend. They're 8 and 9 on this list. And I want to say there was one more of those. Maybe not. No, those 2. So those will be the movers this week as teams that are really close to each other square off. But A&M finds the top spot. I think this may be the first time since I've been doing power rankings that A&M occupied the top spot, and I'm pretty uncomfortable with it. So if Bobby Petrino wants to upset the Aggies this weekend in Fayetteville, I'm all ears for that. We'll come back and close it out next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com is the website. Every car that's on the lot is online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. The GV80 is awesome. It's their midsize SUV. Get on by and drive it if that sounds like something you'd like to get behind the wheel of. If you're a family and you need that SUV for a little bit more space, the GV80 has got it. It is luxury in every way and comes at a reasonable price. That is the Genesis model. Luxury brand, luxury experience, luxury vehicle, reasonable price. So when I say luxury, don't automatically look up and go, well, can't afford that. You'd be surprised. Go see. You can check out the inventory at genesisofbatonrouge.com. Go by and see them. Airline at Piku. Chat with one of their brand ambassadors. They'll treat you like a guest, not a customer. They're there to help you, to learn and to get behind the wheel of that car. And if you make the purchase, it comes with America's best warranty that, of course, comes with 3 years of complimentary scheduled maintenance. It means when it's time to get that oil changed, time to get those wipers changed out, time to get the air filter changed, complimentary, and valet for 3 years from Genesis of Baton Rouge. Find that entire inventory online at genesisofbatonrouge.com.
Flight by Yingling is raising the bar by crafting the next generation of light beer. With only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories, this is premium refreshment 6 generations in the making. Flight by Yingling. Raise the bar.
Parrish Construction and Roofing.
This is Coach Kim Mulkey. Go to parrishbuilt.com for all of your roofing needs.
From your hometown, parrishbuilt.com.
My father, J.B. Falgu, had a vision of growth for First American Bank and the communities we serve. The bank's foundation was built on his legacy of compassion, loyalty, and dedication. Through his years of leadership, First American has prospered to heights even J.B. could not have imagined. I know my father would be extremely proud of the customer service and financial stability that First American provides to Southeast Louisiana. We continue to thrive because of the legacy of J.B. Falgu.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and First American Bank and Trust bring you the Heart of the Game Award, recognizing student athletes who deliver when it counts. Nominate your game day standout at 1045ESPN.com by the 21st. We'll choose 5 male and 5 female finalists, and then it's up to the fans to vote for the winners. Each winner gets a $250 gift card, a custom award, and the spotlight they've earned. Presented by First American Bank and Trust, a banking tradition since 1910.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Wednesday show is always brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools, built by Renaissance.com, built by Renaissance.com. I'm seeing a lot of promotional material for this Chad Powers thing on Hulu. Jordan, have you seen this?
I have. I've been seeing them everywhere.
Do you have any interest in that?
No, because I thought that was Eli Manning
It was for a little skit on SportsCenter.
Yeah,
now they've turned it into a series or a show, or I just could not have less interest in that.
No, I will. If Eli was in it, I may have tapped in for an episode or two.
I feel bad. This is my pop culture blind spot. Glenn is his first name. Glenn
Powell.
Powell. He was in the Tornado movie. Did something with Sydney Sweeney. I didn't know his last name. I just
lucky guy.
Exactly. I have no interest in this weird football thing. Did you watch the Sean Payton movie with Kevin James?
No, I didn't, because it was like, it was at the point. Well, I will say this: at the time, did not like Sean Payton anymore. So it was like, get out of here, get out. I don't want nothing to do with you.
I didn't watch that either. I don't think it's going to be a go for me.
No.
So we'll see. No. Let's finish things up with some Take It or Leave It.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Presented to you by Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer, crafted by America's oldest brewery. Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Flight by Yingling, next generation of light beer, 2.6 carbs, 95 calories, everything you're looking for in a light beer. It's smooth, it's drinkable, and it gives you that great beer flavor, brewed by the oldest brewery in America, Yingling. Looking for a cold pop coming up this weekend, and we're officially working towards it here on this Wednesday. Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer.
Okay, let's start it off with everybody's favorite former first-round pick, Anthony Richardson. So Anthony Richardson was placed on IR for fracturing his orbital bone from a band exercise he was doing pregame on Sunday. Is this the craziest pregame injury you've seen? Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it.
Just leave it alone.
What have you seen?
My guy Sammy Sosa sneezed and broke a rib.
What? He sneezed and broke his rib.
Sneezed, broke a rib. That's the Cubs, okay? This is what happens.
A sneeze.
I also think that, and I'll have to get to the bottom of this. I'm assuming Brian Kelly will probably answer this question at some point. Maybe Weston Davis will come out and do interviews. I got to find out how Weston Davis pregame at Oxford had a concussion and a broken nose in pregame?
Yeah.
What happened? Like, I can see in a pregame baseball, you get a line drive off the face or something. You got a helmet on. Like, how do you get a concussion in warm-ups?
I was thinking the same thing, but then they said on the broadcast that it was pie burn hit him or something like that. But
how hard?
Yeah, but it's like you have a helmet on, so was his helmet off? But they did say pie burn hit him. So.
Well, I get it if he didn't have a helmet on. That's a very quick wave off. But you never know when something's gonna happen.
Never. So, speaking of the Cubs, so one of the most coveted players on the market entering free agency, Kyle Tucker, Cubs outfielder, said after the Game 5 loss at the NLDS, "I don't know what the future is going to hold. If not, it was an honor playing with all these guys, and I wish everyone the best of luck. Whether it's playing next year or not with them, it's a really fun group to be a part of. Will the Cubs bring Tucker back? Take it or leave it."
I will leave it. The only way the Cubs will bring him back is if his market craters, which is possible because he didn't do anything the whole second half of the season. He had an injury, and it hampered him a little bit. He never really recovered. He had one good weekend in Anaheim, but he was terrible the last second half of the season.
Yes.
And he had his moment. There was a moment there, Game 5, Cubs are down, first and second, nobody out, 3-2 count. It was either the 7th or the 8th inning, and Tucker fouled off a 3-1 pitch and then struck out. And that's the spot where Aaron Judge hit it off the foul pole a couple weeks ago. And Vladdy's hitting everything 10 miles for the Blue Jays.
A legend hit.
You got to come. That's the spot. It's 3-1. You got two guys on. You're in the bullpen, and he didn't come through. The Cubs, as an ownership group, are not spending money on megastars with massive contracts. They just don't do it.
That's crazy.
They have the money to do it.
Yeah.
They just won't. I realize that. I know that. I hate it. I'm watching the Dodgers, who spend money on everybody. And they are the best team, clearly, and they're crushing the Brewers because of it. But the Cubs aren't going to do it. So if Tucker gets the deal he wants, which is going to be north of $350 million, the Cubs are just not going to be in that market. So it was a good try by the Cubs to bring him in. And through the first half of the season, they looked like geniuses because he was hitting a ton of home runs. He was hitting for a huge average, and the Cubs were the best offense in the major leagues. And then he went in the deep freeze for 3 months, and the Cubs didn't really recover that.
Yeah, that's not something you want to hear with a guy. I think if I'm not here, I hope the guys do well. That's never want to hear.
Bye-bye.
That.
Maybe we'll go to the Dodgers, which people are thinking he might, which is amazing.
They got the money. Mike Vrabel reportedly won't receive a tribute from the Tennessee Titans during his return with the Patriots. Is this the right move? Take it or leave it.
I'll take it.
Yes.
I mean, you don't have to do it for everybody that comes back. You don't have to do it every time. There are some cases where it's necessary.
Yes.
If I'm going to go back to like the team that I talk about as the Cubs, like when Chris Bryant and Anthony Rizzo, who brought a World Series back for the first time in 108 years, come back with another team because they were traded away. Yes, you absolutely play the video on the Jumbotron and give the standing ovation, the whole deal. When you coach a team for a few years and make the playoffs a couple times and don't go to the conference championship, like, no, you don't need to make that happen. Now, if Vrabel had played for him and he's going to the Hall of Fame, like, that's one thing. But no, there's no need for a tribute video.
Too many tribute videos going on. Between the NBA, NFL, just too much tribute videos. No.
There is a time and a place.
Yes,
Vrabel doesn't qualify. Just because you spent time with the organization doesn't mean you need to get the recognition. You need to accomplish something of significance. Maybe BI can get a tribute video when he comes back.
I'm leaving. I don't care how much I pay for the tickets. I'm just walking out. I'm out of here. See ya.
How'd you like when BI said it was nice that the Raptors fans actually come to games? Did you appreciate that?
I didn't appreciate that at all. But it's cool. When he's out, I ain't gonna wish injuries on nobody, but we all know how Brandon Ingram goes.
Mm-hmm.
We know how it goes.
You generally do. And now we've gotten Jordan worked up on the Pels with 20 seconds left in the show. If you missed any of the show today, catch it on demand, 1045ESPN.com's on demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google. Wherever you find your sound, just search Hunt Palmer Show and check us out. Hunt on LSU for your LSU content. Hunt on Saints for your Saints. Appreciate J.D. Bickel for being part of our show. SEC football power rankings early day, plus some sound from Garrett Nussmeier. Catch it all on demand. Matt's going to drive you home next. We're back tomorrow, same time, same place, for a Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
After a decade of working in private duty nursing, I know how hard it can be to find compassionate care for the ones that you love the most. So I started Decision Critical,